All right. Well, welcome everyone. We are a few minutes before we officially kick off today's session. Since Ron and I are in two different parts of the country, we wanted to pop in early and make sure all of our technology is working. Well, so how about this? Everyone. Right now I'm talking. In a moment, we're going to do a mic check with Ron. But if you could hear my voice and you could see Ron's screen, which has a guy with glasses and he's kind of got his fists on the table, just type yes into the chat box. And that'll let us know that part one of our technology check is working. So we got Gerald and Lee and Frank and Brian and Advani and Bill and Nicholas. All right, cool. All right, part one is done. Yay! We got that working. All right, second part is I'm going to introduce Ron Wheeler. By the way, my name is Brian D'Amico. I'm going to be doing part of today's session, and Ron's going to be doing the bulk. He's our manager of options trading. And let's bring him in. And if you can hear Ron's voice when he starts to talk, just type Ron's name into the chat box. So, hey, Ron, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I was just making sure our YouTube stream was working, and it's working fine. So everybody on YouTube should be hearing us, and hopefully everybody here in the webinar should be hearing us as well.
And it looks like they are, because I'm seeing a bunch of Rons coming into the chat box.
That's a scary thought.
we can only deal with so many Rons.
Oh my gosh, look at all those Rons.
Rons, oh my goodness. All right, everyone. We got about 60 seconds now until we officially start. Thanks for being here early. We've got a lot to cover today. We're, of course, going to be talking about the Investing Income Challenge. Ron and I were just talking before today's session started, and he was telling me that his weekly trade that you're going to be learning in the Income Challenge, this week's trade just closed at profits today. So he'll talk about that later on today. So this is a great place to be, because you're going to be learning about how to get started in this challenge. And I'll tell you all about it in just a moment. But I'll kick off here at the beginning in just a moment. Then Ron's going to do the bulk of the heavy lifting in today's session. But you're in for a great session. We try to make it educational and also show you how you could, if you wanted to take the challenge, show you how to do that. All right. So we are less than probably 10 seconds or so, and then we're going to kick things off. I'm just waiting for my clock to show 4:30 because we like to start things on time. Don't you? Well, hey, guess what? I just looked down on my clock and it just flipped over to 4:30. So let's officially start. So welcome everyone to today's session. Today's session is all about the Investing Income Challenge. This is our special announcement. This challenge we've only done once a year. This will be the third year that we're doing it. We've only done it once a year for the last couple of years. And the whole premise is based on the fact that you need a way to generate consistent income. And we said, how do we do that? How do we help people generate that consistent income? And we created this challenge. And generating income is critical to retiring with peace of mind. It gives you the ability to be independent, not rely on others, because you're going to have income for life. With that income source, you might even find that you're able to retire younger. And I think we'd all love that, be able to get out there and do some things at a younger age, more so than you originally planned, right? So throughout this income challenge, what we're going to do is we're going to work closely with you. So by the end of the challenge, you'll have placed your first income trade. Now, some of you might actually have placed some income trades already. Some of you haven't, but we're going to help you place your first income trade, and it'll hopefully be the first of many. If you want to put some faces to our names, you can see there, Ron is over there on the left-hand side. Ron Wheeler, he's our options trading manager. I'm over on the right-hand side. My name is Brian D'Amico, and I do have the honor of being a co-host, I wouldn't say co-presenter, maybe, of today's session. So I'm going to bring in Mr. Ron Wheeler. Ron, how are you today?
I'm doing very well. It was a good market day today, so I have no complaints at all.
Oh my goodness, Ron, how can you say it was a good market day? When the market's going down, so how is that possible?
Because you are going to see today that the first thing we talk about is trade with the trend, and the trend's been down all year. So we've been doing trades in the bearish side, and Brian, I think it mentioned earlier, my S&P trade for the week got closed with profits today. I had 3 stock trades get closed with profits today. It was a good day.
Awesome. So later on, folks, later on today, Ron's going to come back in and he's going to teach you the trade. He's going to teach you how it works. That way, some of you who don't know how that trade works and what it's all about, he's going to come in a little bit and do a lot of the heavy lifting and show you how it works. So have a piece of paper handy, a pencil handy. That way you could take notes as we go through that. Let's take a look at what we're going to do today. First off, we're going to discuss what on earth is this challenge that we're putting in front of you. After we tell you what the challenge is, I really do feel it's important to discuss the benefits of completing the challenge. In other words, why is this so important to you? Because in the grand scheme of things, why do something if it's not important or you don't see like a big benefit? After we do that, we're going to spend a good amount of time looking at the trade itself. You're going to learn what is involved in the trade, how it works, and that's where Ron is going to come in and spend a lot of time with you, showing you how that trade works. And then Ron's going to finish up today by looking at what you need to do to actually get started. So you could start generating income in about a week from now. Yeah, what is today? Today's Thursday. The idea is that in about a week and a half, let's say, you'll be completed the challenge and you have a place to trade. Sound good? Well, let's get to it. Let's first talk about the challenge itself. What exactly is this challenge that we are putting in front of you today? I would put it very simply for you that this challenge is to learn an income trade and then place the trade within the span of about a week and a half. Right? That's the challenge. You're going to learn a trade in 1 week, and then the very next week, you're going to place the trade. That's what the challenge is. And here's how we're going to do it. We've laid out the challenge like this. We're going to hold live training sessions each day for 4 days. And today, Ron's going to give you an intro on how the trade works. But then over the 4 days, as you can see there, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, starting on September 27th, we're going to hold training sessions. And the sessions are going to be no more than an hour. The first half of the session is going to be dedicated to the training of the trade. And then the second half is going to be dedicated to Q&A. Of course, if you can't make one of those live training sessions, we do provide pre-recorded training videos for you. Actually, if you're a real go-getter, you can actually, once you register for the challenge, those pre-recorded videos, they will be available immediately, and they will only take you 66 minutes to get through if you just watch them from beginning to end. So really, you can finish it in less than the time you would watch a Marvel movie. Right? So technically, you can get all the training in just about an hour. Now, the following Monday, October 3rd, we're going to place a live trade with you, and you could follow along with Ron. Ron's actually going to do it. You can follow along with him click by click as he does it within his brokerage account. You actually don't even need the VectorVest software. I mean, of course, VectorVest is great, but you could do all the things that Ron's going to show you just with a broker, and you could follow along click by click with the broker. Now, before I get too deep into things, this challenge involves learning an option trade. And I do want to do a little informal survey for you. And in the chat, I'm going to have you type in either a 1, 2, 3, or 4. And put a number 1 in the chat box if you would consider yourself brand new to options, where either you don't know options right now, or you just really are scratching the surface. That'd be a 1, so you could type that in now. A 2 would be you've kind of gotten some of the basics, where you know what a call is and what a put is. Maybe you've bought a call or you've bought a put before. That would be a 2. Type in a number 3 if you've done, let's say, a spread or a covered call, or you started to delve into a little bit more than just buying a call and a put. And then a 4 would be you're more of an advanced options trader where you're doing multi-leg option trades. Oh, wow. All right. So now they're really starting to flow in. So at first, the 1s were kind of coming in. I saw about 10 or 15 of those all in a row. And then once I started giving you the 3s and the 4s, I'm seeing 3, 3, 4, 4, some 2s, and a bunch of 3s. Ron, if you could see that in the chat, what are you seeing as far as the biggest numbers?
Oops, sorry about that. I had my phone muted. Or my microphone. I see number 3 as kind of the predominant one.
Okay. Well, that actually makes me think of something, Ron. Let me ask everybody in the chat, can you guys let us know, have you taken a class with Ron before? Or Ron teaches we have a popular class called the Options Paycheck. And some of you might have done that with Ron. So in the chat, just give us a yes if you've done that, or no if you've never done that with Ron before. My guess is all of these threes might be from the people who've done that. All right, so I'm seeing a bunch of yeses, but I'm probably seeing about 65%. I'm just narrowing it down of no's. All right, good mix. It's a good mix. Okay. Let me just say this. I did say the trade that you're going to learn is an options trade. I don't want you to freak out if you typed in a 1 or a 2 into the chat box. Several years ago, I showed my 14-year-old daughter. Well, she's not 14 years old anymore, but she was 14 years old at the time. I showed her how to do it. She wrote the directions down in a spiral bound notebook, and then she was able to place the trade. So if she could do it, I'm confident you can too. So don't worry, don't log off if you're a 1 or a 2. You could still do this challenge. All right, well, let's talk about why this challenge is so important. Let's talk about the benefits of completing it. Like I said before, if there aren't any benefits, why do something in the first place? See if any of these benefits mean anything to you. Okay, benefit number 1 is learning this income trade will provide you with income for life. Huge benefit, I hope you see. At some point, you're going to stop working, right? Some of you might be retired now. At some point, everybody's going to stop working, and it would be a huge benefit to have a way to continue to generate income for yourself. The trade that you're going to be learning in this income challenge has historically averaged 2.5% per month, and we've been teaching it to people over the last 6 years, and it's historically done that. Now, keep in mind, over the last 6 years, I think we can all agree that we've been through up and down markets. We've been through some stable markets and volatile markets, and it's still chugging away. Okay, now there are some times we hit a little flat. You'll see that. Well, I'll show you a graph in just a minute. But we've been able, Ron, I say we, Ron's been able to do this trade throughout all that. Okay. Benefit number 2, the second benefit, is you could do this trade with as little as $5,000 in your trading account, which is cool if you're just either, number 1, you're just getting started, or number 2, you're hesitant. You might have a bigger account, but you want to just dedicate a little bit just to kind of test it out. So you could do it with as little as $5,000. So the barrier to entry is very small. And now on the flip side, some of you have large accounts. If you have 6 figures, you could still do this trade. Right? So it's a wide variety. Now, benefit number 3, you can make some serious money very quickly. For example, let's say you started with that $5,000. Did you know that if you made that 2.5% gain and compounded it monthly over 15 years, you're looking at over $400,000 after starting with $5,000? Now, let's put it another way. Some of you want to start with $25,000 because that's kind of the base of what some brokers have is like a day trading account, but not to say you're day trading here. But with $25,000, you're going to be near $500,000 after 10 years. Okay, so that's some serious money. All right, now benefit number 4 is that the trade you're going to be learning is very consistent. And this is the chart I was mentioning before. For the most part, it steadily goes higher through up and down markets, through stable and volatile markets. There was a patch where it kind of went sideways for a little bit. But historically, Ron has seen 60% winning trades. And Ron, with that winning trade that you saw today, I don't know if that's going to change the stats too much, but I believe you said you're at 65% this year.
Correct. Yeah, it won't, because we're already late into the year now, so it won't change it too much. But yeah, it's we're about 65, like 0.5 or something like that.
Okay. Now, why is that so important? Well, because a lot of people struggle to be consistent and they lose more than they win. And when you have a trading system that's over 60% winners, you start to feel so much more confident in what you're doing. Okay, because a lot of times people, especially with options, try to hit the big winner. This income challenge is going to teach you a system where you're making solid gains consistently. Think of it this way: small wins, small losses, and if it has a high success rate, you're going to have big gains over time, and that's what this does. Now, benefits number 5 and 6, I did put together on one screen, is first that it's going to take minimal time to do the trade each week. And I'm not exaggerating when I say you could spend like 15 minutes a week on this trade, because once you set it, Ron's going to show you, you know, that what was it? What's that thing? You set it and forget it. It's one of those little cookers.
The Ronco.
Oh, there you go. You set it up and you forget it, because he'll show you how to set up the exit trades at the same time. Now, second, it takes minimal effort. Like I said, I taught my daughter to do it when she was in high school. There's just some simple rules that require no guesswork. You don't need to be an expert trader. You don't even need some fancy tools. Some people are like, oh, do I need that Options Pro software? Do I need something special? Nope, you could do it all with a broker. Okay? And then benefit number 7 is that you can get started right away. You're going to be able to place your first trade in 1 week. And that's our challenge, actually, is to place this trade in 1 week. So very quickly, before I have Ron come in and teach you the trade, in the chat, let us know if any of those benefits would be good for you. And if so, maybe just let us know, hey, how many? Would all seven of them be good? Would you like all of them will be good? 4 of them, or just none of them? If the answer is none, then maybe it's probably not the challenge for you. All right, good. It looks like everybody's saying all of them. All right, all 7. Well, then the challenge is perfect for you, all right? Because these are the benefits of completing the challenge. All right, so let's do this. Let's talk about the trade itself. And this is where we're going to spend the majority of today's session. Okay, we're going to spend a good amount of time teaching you how this trade works, because we want you to feel totally comfortable with this trade before you decide to join us in the challenge. We don't want you to join the challenge and you're like, oh, I don't know if options are good for me. You know, I don't know. We want you to have a complete understanding of what you're doing before you jump into the challenge. So Ron's going to be coming in here and teaching you the trade. So take out a piece of paper and a pencil. We tried to show this in the same format that we actually teach the entire challenge. So what Ron's the way he's gonna show it here, we use this same teaching style through the rest of the challenge. So if you also like the way he's teaching this in more of a visual format, hopefully it's gonna be easier to understand, but it's okay if you don't understand it. And Ron will talk about that in a moment. So to do all this, I'm gonna bring Mr. Ron Wheeler back in. He's, as I said before, he's our manager of options trading, and he's gonna teach you this trade. And he's one of the best option traders that I know of. He's a wicked whiz. I don't know a better way to say it. He's really, really smart about this. So welcome back, Mr. Wheeler.
Thank you. Good to be talking to you again.
Good to have you back, and it's good to have you do all the heavy lifting on your expertise here, because Ron and I have been working together since, I believe it's like 20. I met you in 2015. But I believe you and I started working closely together in 2016, because we started to put together that options paycheck course. And that course actually took off. Like, it's actually one of our most popular courses even today. And here we are, 6 years later. And one of the coolest things that I thought that you did was you took the techniques from the paycheck course and you said, you know what, I want to get people started off in a very simple format. And you're like, I'm going to show people how to do income trades on a specific index. And that was kind of cool, because somebody could get all the benefits of these income trades in this income system, and they can get it very quickly in just a matter of, like we're going to do in this challenge, in a matter of a week. And so I brought you in, and I'm going to assume that you have no problem with teaching people today the gist of this trade.
Not at all. This is my bread and butter, so to speak, the options, and then specifically this trade, which has really treated me so well over the last 15 plus years. So it's a great trade that I really think will fit into everyone's portfolio, if you will.
Cool. Well, I'm going to pass it over to you, and I hope everybody's got their pen and paper handy and ready to learn about the trade.
All right, cool. Well, I'm going to give you just a brief background of myself. I've been trading now for, I can't believe this, but 25 years. I placed my first trade back in 1997 on Kansas City wheat. And I still remember picking up that phone because they didn't have that. That was like at the dawn of the internet trades at that point. Picking up that phone and calling the desk and telling them I wanted to buy Kansas City wheat. Well, long story short, I traded futures for a long time. I got tired of trading futures and day trading because it was such a grind. So one of the mentors that kind of brought me into the business had started doing a lot more with options, and he introduced me to options. And I switched over to options once I saw that I could duplicate the success that I had with futures trading with the options markets. And more primarily when it comes to options, this trade, okay, this trade has its origins in my primary options trading. What I did was, we have a class here called the Options Paycheck Experience. So what I did is I took that class and I broke it down into a very, very simple system. So think of it like 5 ones. It uses just one ticker symbol, one trade type, one entry rule, one profit rule, one stop criteria. And because of that, it allowed us to take anyone, regardless of experience, and really show them how to successfully place this income trade. Now, more specifically, this is called the SPX paycheck. Now, why SPX? Because that's the symbol for the S&P 500 cash options. Now, why the S&P 500? Well, it kind of goes back into my futures days. I told you I placed my first trade on Kansas City wheat. That's how pretty much everybody back in the 90s got started as futures traders. Well, very quickly I transitioned from trading things like wheat and corn. I moved into equity futures like the S&P E-mini. So I traded the S&P E-mini futures for a very, very long time, and I got very familiar with the S&P 500. So it was a natural transition for me to go from trading the S&P 500 futures to S&P 500 options, because it was a market that I watched all the time, and it was very, very comfortable for me to just make a nice little switch over into doing that. Now, as I get into how it works, I want to make one quick special note here. It's okay if you don't understand all this right now. Now, there might be some things you don't understand, and that's perfectly okay. Some of you who trade options, you were that 3 and 4 in the survey, you might understand this. But if you don't, if you are a 1 and 2, don't worry. You don't need to understand it right now all the way through. Okay, so keep that in mind. I don't want you to get completely, oh my gosh, I'll never figure this out. You don't have to figure it out right now. This is just kind of the basics of how this works. So the first thing that this all starts with is market trends. The stock market has trends. It goes up. When market goes up, most of the stocks go up with it. When the market goes down, most stocks go down. But you know what? For this particular instance, who cares about stocks? We're looking at the S&P 500. We want to know if the S&P 500 is going up or the S&P 500 is going down. Here in 2022, I think we can all agree that the S&P has gone down. Last year in 2021, we can all agree it went up for the most part. We can pretty much agree that it's gone up for the most part, with the exception of like 2018. 2018 had some bearish stuff in it too. Now, mind you, every year the market has bullish patterns and it has bearish patterns. Some are just a lot longer than others, okay? But what we are going to do is we are going to start with the trend of the S&P 500, and we are going to learn not to fight the trend. We believe in our results, my testing, everything I've done with options and S&P trading over the last 25 years shows me that you should not fight the trends. I don't get worried about, well, is this a market top or is this a market bottom? As I tell my students, I keep my foot on the gas pedal until the trend changes. But Ron, do you think we're at a market bottom right now? The indicators say this. Oh, Ron, we're at a top. Do you think this? No. I trade with the trend and I simply ride the wave. That's my philosophy. I go with the flow of the market. Because overall, the market is more likely, and history has shown that the market, or in our case, the S&P 500, which you can say is the market, right? Think about it. When you look at the market behavior for the day, what do you typically do? What did the Dow do today? What did the S&P 500 do today? What did the NASDAQ do today? That's the market. That's the overall market, right? So history has shown that the market will continue in that direction, the trend, for a long time. And then, we get new trends forming. So once we understand we're trading with the trend, that's step number one. So like I said, we've been doing a lot of bearish trades this year, obviously, with the market. Now, how do we make this trade 65% accurate. Well, here's the big thing, right? If you have a stock or if you have a market and you think it'll go up or down, there's really only a 50-50 chance. So what we need to do is we need to understand what we call probability, because probability and options trading are huge. That's the cool parts. What I love so much about options trading is because we can do it and design a trade that has probability built in. So let's start with an uptrend. I want you to take a look here. During a market uptrend, most stocks tend to go higher anyway, so you'll be placing bullish trades. Now, how can you increase your probability of success? Well, that white dot right there, that represents the price, and we'll just call this the S&P 500. Now, probability says that a stock has a 50% chance of going up and a 50% chance of going down. Now, I'm just talking pure statistics. I'm not talking about you looking at an indicator or some sort of a trading signal or something. I'm just talking about pure statistics. You buy something, you got a 50-50 chance of making money, right? Now, if that's the case, the more room we give this to the downside, you're actually increasing the area that the stock is likely to be in the future. Now, you can see here that the market in this case is more likely to be in the green area because it's no longer a 50-50 scenario. And if you're kind of seeing it or you're kind of having trouble understanding what I'm talking about here is this. Remember, that white dot, which I have a laser pointer in right now, that's the price of the current market. Okay? As long as the market stays in this green area, this is where we can make money. So what you're going to see here is if the market goes sideways, where normally you'd break even, we can still be profitable. If the market goes down, we can still be profitable. Now, from a pure statistics perspective, okay, if I choose a price a little bit below the current price of the stock, instead of that 50-50 scenario, now you've set up an area where you know you have at least a 65% likelihood of being in and a 35% likelihood of not being in. Now, you can lower the price even more and thus change the percentages. So over on the right side, I set up a scenario where you know that the stock has an 80% likelihood of being, and an area where you know that it will only have a 20% likelihood of not being. The more room you give the market, the more likely it is to stay above your line. Now, this also applies to a downtrend. The thinking is just the same, it's only flipped around. You're going to be bearish on the market because most stocks and markets, they continue to move lower during downtrends. Now, again, since the market has a 50-50 probability of going higher or lower, how do we increase our probability? You pick a price above the market price, and based on probability, we know that we're more likely to stay in this green area. That gives us room to make money if we go sideways or even if we go up a little bit. Now, again, you can set up the same probabilities as before. Probability changes depending on how much room you give the market to move. We can do it maybe right here, or we can do it incredibly high and give ourselves an 80% chance of winning. Now, our SPX paycheck actually has two trades. One starts with about a 65% probability, and the other starts with about an 80% probability. Now, during the income challenge, you're going to learn the trade that has a 65% probability. And you might be thinking, well, Ron, why not the 80%? That's better, right? I have a greater chance of winning. Well, it's very true. But there's a little more involved in managing that trade. And I have found through teaching both of these strategies that over the course of the last 3-4 years, I have had most of my students kind of go and move themselves into this 65-35 scenario because it's a very easy trade. It's very easy. There's nothing more you have to learn. You're either win or you lose. There's no repairs, nothing. In fact, I personally, I've actually been trading the 80-20 system for a long time. Even I have finally switched over to the 65-35 system because I just like things easy. Why make it harder than it has to be? You know, it's funny. I always tell my kids that, right? In some cases, follow the path of least resistance. All right? Don't necessarily work harder, work smarter. I think probably all of our parents told us that, right? Well, what I have found out is that the 65-35 trade is the equivalent of that. We're going to work smarter. We're not going to work harder. Okay? It's a simple trade to set up, and it's very simple to manage and performs very, very well over time. Now, again, we can flip things around when we're bearish. So we're going to trade using probability. Now, the setup of the trade, let's talk about this. As I said before, it's okay if you don't understand all of this right now because you don't need to. I'm just giving you the 30,000 foot view, if you will. Now, when the market is bullish, we are going to trade an option called puts. Now, for those of you that are familiar with options, you might say, why would we use puts when we're bullish? Isn't that what you do when the market's bearish? Well, yes, but no. When the market is bullish, we're not going to buy a put. We're actually going to sell a put. In a bullish market, we are going to sell a put and then buy a put at the same time. The put that we sell is going to be how we make money. The put that we buy acts as our insurance. Now, why does that act as insurance? Because it protects you. It limits the amount that you can lose, and it makes it not only a low risk trade, but a trade type that most people can actually do. By selling an option naked without that insurance, a lot of people that are newer option traders are not going to get the permission to do that type of trade. This puts the trade in a very low risk scenario, and it allows a trade that really anybody can do. Okay? So, both of those trades, the selling of the put and the buying of the put, those are going to be placed on the same order. So, this newly created spread will have a price, and it's going to trade exactly like a stock does. This is called a bull put credit spread. Okay? The name is pretty much what it is. It's bullish. It's something you do when you think a market or stock is going to go up, and it's using puts, the bull put credit spread. Why is it called a credit? Because you get paid when you place this trade. You don't pay, you get paid. Now, when the market's bearish, like it is right now, we're going to use a thing called a call. Now, we are going to sell a call. That is going to be the primary way we make money, by selling the call. But we are also going to buy a call at the same time. Now remember, that call that we buy, we're referring to as our insurance because it's protective, right? It locks in a maximum loss. So if you're short, or if you think the market will go down and you place this trade, then all of a sudden the CPI comes out and it's 3% instead of 8%, and the market shoots up 3,000 points. I'm being a little sarcastic there, but let's say it happens. The cool part about that trade is you are locked in to a maximum loss. That's the best part about it. You're locked in. All right, bear with me 1 second. I got some background noise happening here. Okay, sorry about that. For some reason, a video started playing in my background. It was like throwing me off. All right, now in this scenario, both of these are on the same order. Again, the newly created spread will have a price and trade like a stock does. If you buy a stock for $100, every day that stock trades. It might go to 101, it might go down to 99. It has a price associated to it. When you buy a stock, you enter at 100. If you make money, you exit at 105. If you buy a stock at 100 and it goes down to 99, you might exit the stock and lose $1. Trades on options are the same way. We call this a bear call credit spread. Why? Because it's bearish and we're using calls. So, very quickly, in a bullish scenario, what we're going to do is we are going to sell a put below the price of the market. Then we are simultaneously going to buy a put as an insurance leg. In a bearish market, we are going to sell a call above the current price of the market. Then we are going to simultaneously buy a call to act as our insurance. This again is called a vertical credit spread, the bullish put spread on the left and the bear call spread on the right. Now, what I want to do is dive into a little bit about how these things work. What happens when you open the trades? What happens when you close the trades? Well, this is kind of just a little graph here of a winning trade. Now, the one thing that you have to get used to in a trade like this is you got to kind of think a little bit differently. In a credit spread, when you place the trade, you actually get money up front. So when I put this trade on, for example, this week I took a trade, I got paid $3,900 on Monday. So this week on Monday, I got paid $3,900 when I placed my spread on the SPX. Okay. Now this morning, I think it was at 10:15. I actually have a screenshot of my order from Thinkorswim. At 10:15 this morning, I closed the trade by paying my broker $1,900. Okay. I paid my broker it was $1,900. What happened? Because I got paid up front and I only gave the broker back essentially half of what they paid me, I keep the remaining balance. So to put some numbers to this, let's say you open a trade and you get paid $2,500. Now keep in mind, when you open a trade, this is not, we sell. So when we sell to open a trade, right, we're getting paid. But one of the misconceptions here with options is, well, Ron, if I sell the option to somebody, I get paid. That's it, right? I just go on my merry way. I wish it was that. That'd be so much easier to make money, let's be honest. But no, it's not like that. Options are kind of like an insurance policy, if you will. And here's what I mean by that. Let's say you have car insurance. Hopefully that anybody that has a car has car insurance, right? Every 6 months, my insurance company debits my checking account for, I don't even know, I think it's like $1,400 or something like that for our car insurance. Now, they collect $1,400. They sold me a policy. I paid them $1,400 for it. Now, for the next 6 months, they are protecting my property. If I get into a car accident, they are going to have to pay to fix my car. If I don't get into a car accident, they keep the premium and they win. Okay? Selling an option is the same thing. When you sell an option, you are selling somebody an obligation. All right? Don't worry about the obligations right now, but just understand when you sell an option, you don't just walk away. You have an open trade on. You sell an option, you have an option that moves in price every single day. When we enter the market, we get paid. When we exit this market, we have to pay the broker. Okay? So in a perfect scenario, winning trade is we collect a bunch of money up front. When we exit the trade, we pay half of it back and we keep 50% of the initial credit that we got. Now, in a losing trade, it's just the opposite. We collect money up front, but when we lose, we have to pay back more than we collected. That would be a losing trade. So let's say in the trade, I opened the trade up and I collected $2,500. Well, in a losing scenario, I might have to pay $3,750 to exit my trade. Well, in this case, that means I have a $1,250 loss. How? $2,500 I collect when I open. I pay $3,750 to close it. That $2,500 that the broker gave me when I sold the options up front, that's gone. And I had to dig into my pocket for $1,250. That is a losing scenario. Okay. Now, where do these numbers come from? The sell to open 2,500. Where does this whole thing come from? Well, here's a little deeper. How's it work? This is a bullish trade. When we sell our put, that put is more money than it costs to buy the insurance. So in other words, you're going to receive money to place this trade. Now, because both of those options are placed on the same order, that newly created spread's price is the net of the two individual legs. So for example, let's say I enter the trade, I sold a put, and I collected $3,500. That's how much I received when I sold the put. I had to buy my insurance, and my insurance cost me $1,000. Well, the net of that transaction is $2,500 paid to me. Now, what happens as the trade moves higher? So if the S&P 500 moves higher, the prices of both of those options start to decline. The put that I originally collected $3,500 on is now trading for $1,750. The option that I bought, the buy of the put was $1,000. Now that option's only trading for $500. So since I sold this one at $3,500 and now it's trading at $1,750, I'm making a lot of money on that option. This one I bought for $1,000. Now it's only trading at $500. I'm actually losing money. So if you take those two, I make $1,750 here. I lose 500 here. I have a net profit in that case of $1,250. Remember, you collected $2,500 when you entered the trade, and then you paid $1,250 when you exited it. We get to keep the $1,250. Now, it's the same scenario in a bearish market. You receive more money for the call that you sell than it costs to buy the insurance. In other words, again, you receive money to place this trade. Because again, they're both entered on the same order, the newly created spread's price is the net of the two individual legs of the spread. So in this particular case, let's do some numbers. I sold a call, I received, let's say, $5,000. I had a $2,000 insurance cost. Once that's all said and done, I received $3,000 when I entered the trade. The S&P 500 has moved lower. The price of both of those options decline, they go down. The new price of my call is $2,500. The new price of my long call is $1,000. I can exit that trade for that net of $1,500. So remember, you collected $3,000 when you entered the trade, and you paid $1,500 when you exited the trade. Now, let me kind of explain this with more of like a real scenario here. Okay? This is exactly the trade that I placed this week. So you can kind of see, let me zoom in a little bit here. I want to show you some real numbers and not some stuff that's really like made up. Okay. So first off, I want you to go over to this right. Let me see if I can annotate a little bit here. So if you look, actually, let me do it this way. Let me grab my pen and let me grab my color of red. So first off, if you look right over here on this area, the red one is when I enter the trade. So on Monday, September 19th, 2022, at 11:15 a.m., I opened a trade. Now, you can certainly go through this and kind of go back if you want to look at the history of what I did, but the first transaction was this one right here. I sold a $39.85 call, and it was $53.72. So when I sold that call, all right, now if you don't know how options work, when I sell something for $53.72, that represents 100 shares, or basically 100 times that value. I sold that option and I collected $5,372. Now, if you look at the number right below it, this was my insurance leg. On the insurance leg, I had to pay $4,000. I had to pay $4,000. Come on, get back to the calculator. There it goes. $4,992. That transaction, I screwed up the math. 5372 minus 4992. There we go. The net of that transaction was $380. Okay? That's the net of that transaction. So you can see right there, I entered the trade on Monday at 11:15 and I received a $3.80 credit. Now, if you base that on 10 contracts, 10 contracts, by the way, would require you to have a $50,000 account, just so you know. With a $50,000 account, I got paid $3,800 on 10 contracts. All right? Now, you're going to see over here on the left again. That was this morning, September 22nd at 10:02 this morning. I exited the trade. Now, just so you guys know, the cool part about this is I didn't have to do anything. I put the order in ahead of time for this trade. So all I know is I got an email. I got a bunch of emails today about winning trades, which is great. I got an email at 10 o'clock this morning saying that my trade had been filled. Okay? I got an email at 10 o'clock this morning saying that my trade had been filled. And actually, let me see if I can find it in my email. Okay. This is the first one of them. Let me see if I can take a screenshot of this too. So this is the first of the two emails I got. So Thinkorswim sent me a message via email at 10:02 this morning saying, hey, bought 5 of this in your account. So I had that order set ahead of time. So I got 2 of those because sometimes when you get out of the trade, it does it in multiple times. Like you get out of 5 and 5. That's not a big deal. But that's exactly how that scenario works. So at 10 o'clock this morning, I ended up getting out of that trade for $1,900. I collected $3,800. I paid $1,900, and guess what? It was a $1,900 profit, and really it took about 4 days. There was no real danger of that trade this week. It worked out perfect. Okay, so that's a live example of how that works. All right. Now, again, the cool part about this is we show you how in most brokers or in some brokers you can do this completely almost automated. Not always automated, but you can do a lot of things ahead of time. Like I had a profit target set ahead of time at 10 o'clock this morning. As I was doing some other things, my phone buzzed and I got out of my trade. Now, what you just looked at, that's the first part of what you would learn during the income challenge. Now, as you can see, there's more steps for us to cover, such as how you're going to control your risk and what are you going to trade, when you're going to trade it, how to set it up, and how to manage the trade. Of course, we're also going to go over how to enter the trade as well. So let's talk about how to get started. Now, we put together the Investing Income Challenge to help you place your first of many income trades. So here's how we're going to do it. As soon as you register, you receive immediate access to a series of training videos which will walk you through the trade. We're also going to do it live as well. So if you can attend our live sessions next week, awesome. If you can't, no big deal. Okay? We're also going to hold those live sessions again next week at 11 a.m. They're going to take no more than an hour. The first half hour is going to be the training, and the second half will be Q&A. And again, as Brian said, you can go through the entire recorded session for this in about 66 minutes. So if you can attend the live training, great. If you can't, it's not a big deal because it's all recorded and be out there. Now, the following Monday, October 3rd, we're going to place our first live trade with you, and you can follow us along click by click. I'll show you exactly how to do it, and we'll set up the trade for that day. Now, as an extra bonus, after you place your first trade, we're going to continue to work with you for the entire month of October. So every Monday, we'll walk you through setting up the trade, and then we're going to place that trade in that live webinar. Now, I know that we do all of our trades on Monday, but a question that I get asked a lot is, Ron, do I have to place the trade on Monday? And the answer is no. If you place the trade on Tuesday at 3 p.m., it doesn't make a difference. If you place it on Wednesday at 9:30, it doesn't make a difference. I happen to place all my trades on the S&P 500 on Monday because I have a class designed around that. But over the course of my 25 years of trading and 15 plus years of trading SPX options, I've placed them on Fridays and Thursdays and Wednesdays and Tuesdays. I placed them at every time and every place. It doesn't really make a difference in the grand scheme of things. Okay. We're going to have it on 10 a.m. on Mondays, but once you get through the training, you can really place these anytime you want. Now, what we'll also do is at the end of the week, we're going to have a weekly challenge check-in. Now, these trades take on average 3 days around. So some of them might last a little bit longer, but historically, these trades last around 3 days. So by Friday, you should either know if you made money or you lost. Okay, so we'll talk about the trade, make sure you're still on track, and answer any questions that you might have. Now, here's the opportunity. If you're ready for the challenge, it's only $295, and I'll take you by the hand and have you placing that first trade by October 3rd. All you got to do is go to vectorvest.com/join challenge now. So Brian or someone will put a link in the chat box for you to click on. Together, we are going to do this, and we will do this. This trade has been a mainstay in my trading for 15 years. Now, I'm so confident about this, I have a guarantee for you. I, again, believe so much that you'll love this trade, and you're easily going to complete the challenge that I offer 100% money back guarantee. You can go through the entire challenge, and if you're not satisfied, you can get all your money back. So it's completely no risk. You just got to show that you've done the work and you gave it your best effort. We only want people to join the challenge if they're serious and excited to get started. So we hope that you're one of them. Now, we've worked with so many different people over the years who've come to us with a variety of experiences. And here's just a handful. Jim came to us. He was inconsistent and unsatisfied with the results. He learned the system. He said his first 21 trades were winners. Mike, he came to us and said he lost often and got to the point where he almost gave up. He learned the system and made 12 grand in his first 4 months. Mark had no experience at all with the income trade we taught him, but only after an hour, he was able to place his first income trade and do it himself the next day in 10 minutes. Brian, he talked about how he was able to show his daughter how to place an income trade, and she had never invested before in her life. She was able to take the notes from her spiral bound notebook and place those trades by herself using Brian's account. So during the income challenge, we've also set up a private Facebook group. Here are some of the posts from past challenges. Gordon successfully completed the challenge of learning the trade. He said, just want to thank Ron for teaching me a method to create monthly income. I'm new to options investing and I wish I would have taken the course sooner, but let fear of options stop me. I finished the June course and have managed to make 3% on my trades for the month of July. So great. He's got a good start. We get posts like this every week where people talk about their weekly trades. Dan just said he got a notification from Thinkorswim that his trade exited with profits. He said another win following Ron's teaching. Both Terry and Knighton, they posted the exact same thing. Okay? Now, Nav posted that he started paper trading and so far had 75% winning trades with an average profit of 575. Now, a couple of important notes here. 65% probability is the baseline, but it can be even greater than that since we teach kind of a secret weapon, and that's using market direction. We're going to be using market direction to do this. And in fact, if you want to see something a little bit more current, here's from our Facebook forum now. One of our clients, the Etsy trade and the SPX trade closed for profits this morning. That's from today. So, like I said, I try to keep it fresh, you know. And then Varney, he said he had 18 out of 20 successful trades. That's a 90% win rate. Now, here I posted that my trade closed, and once again, others joined in the conversation. Notice Bruce said he made $4,600 on the trade. You can scale the trade up, you can scale it down depending on the size of your account. All of these people we looked at today, they're not professionals, they're not financial advisors, they're not money managers, just ordinary people like you and me. And some had no experience at all. Now, this is my 2022 results. I do these trades every Monday with my class. Okay, I don't have my September results in there yet, which September right now is profitable. All right, now I trade 10 contracts with what you would need is a $50,000 account. Okay, so to duplicate my trades that I've done here, you would need a $50,000 trading account. And with that $50,000, you would be up $13,000 for the year. Okay, so not too bad for 2022, especially when the market's doing so terribly. All right, so this is not a sales pitch. This is reality. If you want the income, this is a trade to learn. Okay, you know the S&P is down 17% this year. The Nasdaq's down 24%, but we can still make money. So let me ask you, are you up for the challenge? Let me know in the chat. If you're up for this challenge, give me a big yes in the chat box. Give me a big yes. I know you are all capable of this. All right, let me take a look. I'm seeing lots of yeses, but I want to shout out the first person that I saw, which was Gerald. Gerald, you were the first, and now they're just kind of flying by. So thank you, Gerald, and I'll read the next couple of them in there, and Norman and Calvin and Lynette and Olga and Frank, lots of you. So think about this. The main goal here is to make consistent, meaningful income. Is it achievable? Yes. You've seen us do that in our real trading. Those results that you saw were our real trades. I showed you a trade that actually ended this week as well. What's the likelihood that you'll achieve your goal? The answer is high. We've seen many people succeed who have no prior experience. What about the effort involved? That's low. There's not a lot of work involved to place this trade. In fact, when I start placing live trades with you, I'm going to use Thinkorswim. That's all I'm going to use is Thinkorswim. That's it. I'll use Thinkorswim. What about the sacrifice? That's low. First, you're dedicating about a half hour a day for a week, and you're doing that to gain an income system you're going to use for the rest of your life. Now, what about the risk? The risk is also low. First off, the investment's only $295 bucks. Plus, you got a money back guarantee. Additionally, the trade you learn is set up in a way that any losing trade has minimal risk. Now, what about the time commitment? That's also low. There will be some time dedicated to learn the system, but even that's only about an hour per day for a week. After that, you're looking at about 15 minutes per week. Now, at this point, you have a choice. You can choose to do nothing and stay exactly where you are. Or choice number 2 is you can learn how to generate income now. Now, of course, you can try to do it alone. If you're willing to work hard, spend hours in front of your computer, and you're willing to learn by trial and error, you might be able to pull it off. Or you can let us guide you during the challenge. Let us show you how to do it. We'll walk you through each part of the system. So circle October 3rd on your calendar. Will you watch that day come and go like so many people, or will you be among those who remember that day as the first they first placed their income trades? You know, I'm reminded by my mentor who got me started in trading. And when I first came to him, I said, you know, what books should I read? He's like, you know, Ron, I don't want you reading any books. I'm like, why? He's like, because I am teaching you something that I have done over the past 30 years. I've read all the books. You don't need to read the books. So could you do this on your own? Sure. Start reading options books, start putting a system together, but you don't need to. I've done all the work for you. What did we talk about earlier? Following the path of least resistance, work smarter, not harder. I've done it all for you. And I can teach you this very quickly. Now ask yourself, what will it cost you not to do this? You know, earlier we looked at the serious money that can be made. Would you exchange $295 one time right now to get that number each year? Even with only a $5,000 account, you'd be amazed on how much it just compounds. So join the challenge. If the answer is yes, go to www.vectorvest.com, join challenge, and get registered today. Now that $295 special price is available, I think, till 6 today. I think Brian will confirm that. And then the price increases to $495, which is still a really good deal. So the challenge registration is only open until Monday. So now is that time. www.vectorvest.com/join challenge. Oh, by the way, if you're an alumni of the Options Paycheck course, you can register for the challenge for only 95 bucks. So we sent you a private link via email, or you can let us know in the chat. So do me a favor, if you know this is right for you and you're joining me in this challenge, type me 2 simple words in the chat box. I'm in. Brian and I would love to welcome you to the class by name. All right. I'm going to bring Brian back in. Brian's been kind of monitoring the status of the questions and everything that's been going on in the background with you. And Brian and I are going to join up for a Q&A session here.
All right. Hey, Ron.
Hey.
So all the people who are typing in, I'm in. I just quick out of the corner of my eye, I'm seeing Gerald and Brian and Lynette and Colin. Those of you who are in, you'll get your email within seconds usually, and you actually have instant access. So like Bill, who just says I'm in, you get instant access to all the training. We had some people who saying they're on vacation next week or they're going to be out of town. The cool thing is, as I mentioned way back at the beginning, is all the training you could actually get through I timed it, 66 minutes. You can watch all the training videos. What we're doing next week is we're splitting up that training and doing it live with you. And usually when Ron teaches something live, it'll take a little bit longer each day. So we do about 30 minutes a day for 4 days. So that's like a couple of hours. So it'll be a little bit longer to do it, because we'll talk to you and see what's going on in the market, and then we'll have 30 minutes of Q&A at the end. So even if you're on vacation next week, it'll take about 66 minutes to get through if you just watch the training. And then the week after, and then for the next 4 weeks, for 4 weeks straight, you'll have sessions every Monday. Okay. Oh, and so I'm going to come back to that. I just got a reminder from John that we had some people in the chat say that they are alumni of the Paycheck group. So if you've taken the Paycheck course, we would have sent you a link via email where you could order this challenge for only $95, which is a wicked sweet deal. And I saw somebody in the chat, I think it was Terry, said you didn't see the email from us. If you are an alumni and for some reason you didn't see the email, you can call us, which Ron has the phone number on the screen. You just call us and say, hey, I took the Paycheck course. I want to do the challenge for $95, and they can do it for you. Or just put in the chat. Just say, hey, John, and John's he's a member of our team. He'll double check your account, make sure you took the Paycheck, and give you a link in the chat that you could use to order it for $95. All right. All right, so let me go back over to the screen here. Ron, one of the other questions we tried to address earlier, but is this something that can be done? Like, do they need special tools? Like, you use Options Pro software a lot. Can somebody do this without that, or is that required?
No, definitely not needed. This trade you can just do with a brokerage account. Whether you're I use Thinkorswim. I'll be using that during the challenge, by the way. That's how I'll be placing my trades. I'll show you how I do it. I won't be using Options Pro at all in this challenge. So no, you don't need that.
All right. And Calvin, double check your wife's email address, I guess, and look for it there. And hold on, let me send a message over to John really quick. Ron, the other question for you for the SPX trading system, we got 2 or 3 people asked this in the chat about the SPX versus the SPY.
Mm-hmm.
Can they do the SPY, or why do you do the SPX instead?
I do the SPX because number one, it's a lot lower trade costs. So we tell you for one contract of the SPX, you need $5,000. Now, one contract of the SPX is equivalent to 10 contracts of the SPY. Now, we'll talk more about this during the class too, but there's also some tax considerations why the SPX is a better trade. So we use the SPX because it's easy. There's only, you're going to be cutting the number of contracts you trade down tremendously, which will help on commission. And then also, depending on how you're trading it, there's some very, very impressive tax benefits of trading the SPX as well for you US folks.
All right. Now, hey, Ron, does it matter the broker that they use? I just saw John say, I use Schwab. Is that okay?
Yeah, it's fine. There's no real. Every broker has what you need for this. Seriously, we're only using very basic options analytic things, and every broker can do this trade. Every broker can support this.
Oh, and Gerald's wondering, is it recommended maybe I should paper trade first? Or Ron, do you recommend people paper trade, or can they just do like one contract? And if they do one contract, how much would they be risking with one contract?
Paper trading, I don't have a problem with it. The paper trading, to me, the best part about paper trading is it gets you familiar with placing orders in your brokerage. That's really the key. Now, if you wanted to just say, nah, I don't want to paper trade, I just want to do this for real. If you trade one contract, your risk is basically going to be about $150 on that trade. So you're going to risk $150 to make $150. So that's what a one contract trade would be risk wise.
All right. I saw this question from Tom, who had a lot of success in his first year of doing these trades, but he was noticing that the trouble was in year 2 when the market, he said, got weird. He didn't have like an automated way to get out. I guess it wasn't able to watch some of the trades or react to the alert system that we used to teach. Mm-hmm. Now, Ron, you have figured out a way, especially with Thinkorswim broker, of automatically getting out. Can you touch on that, like on the benefits of that? And is that the only broker you found that can do that, or can other brokers do it?
Yeah, from what now I'm taking the word of our clients that do this. They have also found a way to do this with Interactive Brokers. I unfortunately only have a paper trading account with Interactive Brokers, so I can't confirm that this works. And I've been trying to work with the paper trading system here to get a video out of this thing for the last like 2 weeks, and it's been just a challenge. But I've been told Interactive Brokers can do nearly automated orders, and then also so can Thinkorswim. So when I trade with Thinkorswim, what I actually do every single week is I place orders for my entry price. I post orders for my profits at exit and my loss if the trade goes against me. So I place those orders ahead of time every week.
All right, I'm just looking in the chat box. A couple of you who are asking for the special link for the Paycheck alumni. It looks like when we pasted the link to you in the chat, we put an extra space in there, so the link's gonna not work. So John, if you could fix that for Sean and for Terry. If I type that to you, if I put that space in there, I apologize. Just take out the space in there. All right. Now, let's see, going to...
And then just to give you an idea real quick, this is what my order originally looked like in Thinkorswim. So I had an order to get out of the trade at profits. That's the one that hit this morning at 10 o'clock. And then you can see canceled. These were my orders to exit the trade with a loss. So what would have happened here, if I won, which I did, I'd have made $190. I got filled on that trade at $380, right? So I had a stop in place to get me out of the trade at no more than $550. So that basically would have been a loss of about 160 bucks. I could make 190 this week, or I would have lost 160. And the cool thing is, it doesn't matter what your broker is. You can anticipate and identify what your loss would be pretty much right up front.
All right, we got some great questions in here. I'm going to go to John D. John D said, can I start this next week? And John, earlier I was trying to address this a little bit, but let me say it a different way. So yeah, if you order now, you will get immediate access to all the training. All right. And in fact, the live training is next week, but you don't have to attend the live training. You could just watch the recorded sessions. Everything will be recorded, and you can go through it over the weekend whenever you want. Right. And then we're going to start getting together and doing live trades with you the week of October 3rd on Monday. So you could watch the training whenever you want. You can watch the recordings whenever you want and attend. You don't even have to attend the live trades if you don't want to, because you don't have to do the trades on a Monday. That just happens to be when Ron places his trade based on his schedule. Ron teaches you could place it Monday afternoon. You could place it Tuesday.
And just to give you guys an idea here, by the way, this is a graph of the S&P 500. You know where I placed the trade on Monday? This is what the S&P did on Monday. That's this bar right here. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. That bar right there was on Monday. How many people would probably have the guts to place a bearish trade on Monday when the market was like that, right? Well, guess what? I did it. I did, because the market's in a downtrend. So guess what? Made money. I just thought you guys kind of find that interesting that, on Monday we did that trade like that.
Hey, Ron, Colin asked, can you do this trade in an IRA?
Most people can. Over the course of the last, 7 years I've been with VectorVest here, I have a lot of clients that do trade this in an IRA. Every now and then I will get a report back saying, hey, Ron, my IRA doesn't support these types of trades. I would always encourage you to call your broker and just make sure that you can do it. But from my experience, the vast majority of people can do this in their IRAs, yes.
All right, I love it. Terry said, I'm in. I removed that extra space that was in the link and it worked. So another John D. Oh, wow, this is weird. We got multiple John Ds. John D says, the website wasn't working for existing VectorVest members. I think it must be the extra space that I put into that link. I apologize for that. That was my fault. I gave an extra space to John, and he then pasted it in. So John D will try it without a space in that link, or John could give you can work with you. Mike, as far as rolling trades, Ron was mentioning earlier, this in the income challenge, we do not roll this trade. Right? That's one of the reasons it's so awesome, is because it's super simple to manage. Henry, I love the question. Henry's like this. I'm going to paraphrase Henry. Henry actually just asked, can we see the presentation again? My paraphrase of that is, this presentation was so awesome, I want to watch it again and again and again. Well, Henry, what we did is we put a recording of yesterday's presentation up on the website that you see the link up on the screen where it says vectorvest.com/join-challenge. If you go to that page, you could see the replay of this webinar that we did yesterday. Right, so a lot of it will sound very similar. Obviously, you won't hear about Ron's closed trade because that just happened today, but we put up a recording from yesterday. All right, and those of you who are asking about the details of the trade as far as the expiration, strikes, and everything, that's taught in the challenge, right? That's why you join the challenge, because you'll learn all those items. So if you're asking about the expiration date or how many days out or the strikes, we'll just say join the challenge, and all of that will be in there. All right. Now what I'm going to do is in the chat, I'm going to ask you to, if you asked a question earlier, can you copy and paste it? Like, I don't want you to leave today saying, oh, Brian and Ron and John, they didn't answer my question. It's just right now, it's all the way off my screen and I don't see it anymore. So if you have a question that you need answered right now and you've already asked it, can you just copy and paste it and put it back into the chat, and we'll be glad to answer it for you. And if you did not already type it in, you can type it in now. We're going to be here to help you. Thomas says, I took the course in 2021, finally got the email link to work, and I'm signed up now. Awesome, Thomas. I'm going to give you guys about 30 seconds. That sound fair to type in your question? Otherwise, we're going to wrap up for today. All right, we got a bunch of people who've taken the options paycheck course. I don't blame you guys if you've taken the paycheck course to do this for just $95. I mean, we probably should charge more than that for a paycheck fee. Oh, I really should have mentioned this other part earlier, Ron, that if you do this challenge, which is, let's just say, is like a great intro to an income system using just the SPX, and you're interested in ever taking the we're going to launch an options paycheck course right after this. We're going to give you a discount on the paycheck. Basically, we charge $995 usually for the paycheck. If you do this challenge with us right now, you'd be able to get the paycheck at $795. So if you think about that, you'd be paying $295 for this challenge. Basically, 200 of that you could use it will be giving you back if you decide to purchase the paycheck. Hopefully that sounded the way I intended it, but you basically, if you ever want to take the paycheck right after this, not like 10 years from now, but right after this, you can get some of the money put towards that. So it's pretty sweet deal. And if you think about it, you'd be taking this income challenge and you're like paying yourself to learn a system. You're getting paid because, like Ron said, we can't guarantee your results in the next 2 weeks, but we're pretty confident that over the longer term, you're going to have a pretty sweet income system. And one last thing before I put it back over to Ron to wrap things up, but we did a survey of our students who took the income challenge last time. And I wish I had the numbers in front of me, but I believe it was I said, how much money did you make during the challenge? And the average was like $700 and something. So if you think about that, they actually paid themselves back during the course of the challenge. Now, of course, we can't guarantee that. We can't guarantee money in a span of 4 weeks, but it is definitely possible that you pay yourself back during this challenge. All right. And Peter, you were asking how many days out do you trade? I already answered that is covered in the challenge. So when you buy the challenge, those types of details will be covered in the materials. So check out the videos. All right, Mr. Wheeler, I think that covers the question. So what I'll do is I will pass it over to you to wrap things up.
All right. Well, much appreciated. And I want to thank everybody here as well for spending the last hour and about 10 minutes with me. I appreciate it. Like I said, this is, to me, a no-brainer. This is a very easy trade that anybody can do, and it's had very good success. Really, I've tested it for long periods of time. It's a good trade that has stood the test of time for a very long time that really anybody can do. So it's a no-brainer. So I hope that I will be seeing all of you next week in our investment income challenge. Hit vectorvest.com/join challenge. Get yourself signed up for it. We'll teach it next week. You'll be placing your first trade on Monday, October 3rd. So with that, I will bid you farewell, and we will see you all next week live and Monday, October 3rd for our first income trade. Have a great evening, everybody.